Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot coming at you with the weekly comic book roundup. Yes, we're a few days late. This week's roundup was postponed. Not for anything bad. Just there were some things that came up. Nothing bad. Nothing bad. Next week's will also be postponed because money's a thing that I'm not even great. I'm not always great with. So. Sorry. Anyway. Moving on to this week's books. Kicking things off with Marauders number 24. This is a continuation of a current arc. It looks like we're just getting a handful of just one-off issues for a little bit, but a ship arrives at in the Sol system. It's sold by the Peak to stop at Sword Station 2 above Morocco for inspection. Pilot declines. Ship is shot at, and it turns out that the pilot is looking for the White Queen of Mutantdom. So, the Marauders go to Morocco. Iceman, Pyro, Bishop, Kate, and Emma. Turns out there are quite a few alien species have set up little kiosks near the spaceport, hawking their wares. Kate swipes a couple blasters from one seller who won't sell to Earthers. At a bar where they figure out that the person who's looking for Emma is, they find Shaw as well. Shaw, however, is not, of course, the person they're looking for, but rather a bounty hunter by the man by the name of Eden Rixlow, or Dean Lorix. Yeah, anyway, former Nova Corpsman. We have a write-up from Commander Adson of the Nova Corps, but Emma and him have a chat. She took his ship. It is obviously a obviously she fell in love with the ship because it's telepathically controlled. Also, she erased Rixlow's memory of what happened, explaining she doesn't need him to sign an NDA, that there's nothing to remember. But apparently he did try and double-cross her. And the ship was stolen. But, bar fight gets started up. Shaw watches and decides he's going to, and eventually does decide to join in when Rixlow tosses a grenade at Emma and Kate. And he basically just eats the explosion. And decided, okay, we'll pay him off and be on our way. He's paid off. They're heading out. With Rixlow being potentially recruited to do to work, to be an intergalactic representative of the Hellfire Corporation. However, he double crosses them and spaces the group. And that is where the issue ends. That's going to be fun to see where that turns out. Anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got The Trial of Magneto, number 2. Where we left off, the X-Men and X-Factor were investigating the death of the Scarlet Witch. The Avengers had been informed, but had not, and were likely on their way. But something strange was happening with Wanda's body. And pretty much everyone on Krakoa thinks Magneto did it. And he's brutally attacked, but he's attacked by the X-Men and as well as Quicksilver. So the issue begins with Hope and Xavier attempting to find out what happened. Telepathically find out what happened from the unconscious Magneto. Hope doesn't like it and considers it torture. When she calls it such to Xavier, he tries to say it isn't, but she explains it's tactical manipulation to extract a confession. And Xavier counters with, finding truth isn't torture, but she states that it isn't finding the truth when Gestalt techniques are being used to force a confession. But she ends up asking why not have Emma or Jean help, because they'd probably be more willing to help him than she is. That's because they're both dealing with certain aspects of diplomacy, namely dealing with the Avengers, who have just arrived. Jean, when the Avengers arrive, Jean hugs first Vision, then Wasp, and it's probably given the circumstances, it's an extremely pleasant meeting. Clearly, they're all grieving Wanda's loss, but at the same time, it's like, hey, we're not here to fight. The X-Men say, hey, we know something went wrong. But they're getting a tour of Krakoa, and as they're going through, they're getting close to Arbor Magna. And so Emma has set up something to make sure that the Avengers don't see the Arbor. They don't see, that, yes, mutants have conquered death. Namely, what Emma and the Cuckoos are apparently sunbathing. Tony promptly tries to hit on Emma, and, Wasp apologizes, reminding Emma that, Tony is feral. Inside at Magneto's home, X-Factor is further investigating, and apparently the Cerebro helmet cradle is missing. And it seems that it was taken by Magneto himself, as Rachel does some chronoscoping to see what happened. Wanda, there's more strange things are afoot with Wanda. Hope wakes up Magneto and basically, explains the Avengers are here. You can't let them see her body. X-Factor talks. The Avengers talk with X-Factor about the investigation, and also Quicksilver touches base with Cap. Though at first he's Quicksilver and he's grieving. To say he's standoffish is putting it very lightly. However, he promptly, he does realize that after saying what he says that maybe he was maybe he should have said it, but he's of course Cap's Cap. But Magneto shows up, having dug out the old red and purple duds. And since he's attacking the Boneyard, well, X-Factor has to make sure that none of the evidence gets damaged either. But the Avengers are initially told, hey, give us 10 minutes to handle this by Cyclops. But, well, yeah, they're impatient. Wasp flies up and punches Magneto in the face. Magneto uses Cap's shield to take down Iron Man, and then uses his powers to just throw Vision into the ground. And then Quicksilver's husband Kyle shows up, or not Quicksilver, North Star's husband Kyle shows up. So he's talking about Quicksilver in the issue. Yeah, but North Star's husband Kyle shows up and is taken hostage by Magneto, which, yeah, North Star gets involved and basically tells everyone there he doesn't care. Magneto could be threatening, could be saying, let me destroy the world or I kill your husband, and North would say, fine, destroy the world, as long as I have my husband. So, yeah. And Magneto confesses, says, take me away, offers his hands out. However, someone disagrees with his confession. Wanda. Mystique is watching from the bushes and says this should be interesting, and when she leaps into Vision's arms, and so she wants things to get back to normal. So are we dealing with? Was she put through resurrection protocols? Was she? Obviously, something was up with her, but it seems a little fast to get to Wanda's fine. And that is where the issue ends. Trial is more and more interesting. My quick review of Marauders was, a fun little jaunt in space. Did not go how I expected it to, but otherwise, like I said, a fun jaunt. We're going to start our next book, The Last Annihilation, Wakanda. Dormammu is trying to take over the universe through take over the galaxy via an ancient dark cosmic magic thingy, or ritual. Five planets are being targeted. Their locations form a pentagram. Yeah. But the intergalactic, or the intergalactic Wakandan Empire gets involved. We get a little bit of backstory on them. So much of Ta-Nehisi Coates' run on Black Panther dealt with Black Panther discovering the spacefaring portion of the Wakandan Empire. And it turns out that it's ruled by N'Daka, Eric Killmonger. Or it was, at least. But, the issue focuses on the leader of the of an anti-imperial faction, of a formerly anti-imperial faction within Wakandan space named M'Baku. Yes, he is named after man-ape M'Baku. But he helped T'Challa, and yeah, so everything's explained. Basically, T'Challa gets thrown out of what's going on, and he talks about it with M'Baku, and they made him a super suit, but he's gonna head into space alongside Shuri, Manifold, and Vibraxis. And so first they go to planet Air, the Shi'ar world Aerie. It turns out that the Shi'ar and the Wakandan Empire are they're not on the best of terms. There's a ceasefire between the two factions, but yeah, things were not going well between them. So the Wakandans get involved. Deathbird is not happy with this, but by and large, it's like, you know what? There are people that need help. We don't have time for this BS. But and while Manifold teleports all of the -1 into space, it's all space around Aerie. But they're beginning to form a plan, utilizing an Imperial weapon that was kind of sort of part of, which in fact the ceasefire kind of said they can't use anymore, but they make some modifications to it, and it's a web of satellites, and they're able to absorb the energy from the -1s having turned Ares' moon into a mindless moon. But it attacks Ares. However, the satellites absorb the energy and are able to come up with a countermeasure and then take care of it. Then another another Wakandan ship arrives. This time with T'Challa as well as the Regent of the Soul System. She brings some Mysterium on behalf of Krakoa to aid in the cause, and that manages to help. And everything they do manage to repel the mindless ones, and things between the Shi'ar and the Wakandans cool off a bit, or warm up. But they appear to be much closer to becoming allies than remaining not enemies. But M'Baku and T'Challa have a chat about why T'Challa sent M'Baku, and he says it wasn't a test. It was, it wasn't meant to be any kind of test. It's funny that he's always going to need to split time between Earth and the Intergalactic Empire. T'Challa knew that M'Baku would rise to meet the crisis, but he needs to ask me even more. The Era needs to hear the voices of those orphaned by the Empire so that it might be better. So he asks M'Baku to be his regent. But and M'Baku says, "I'm not going to bow and hey, I'm not going to just do whatever you tell me." And so it's like, hey, Like, you want to M'Baku, the very name of defiance. I don't expect you to, to not challenge me if if you think I'm doing wrong. Challenge me, yeah. And so we have M'Baku was now the regent of the intergalactic Wakandan Empire. That is where the issue ends. It's a solid issue. I probably would have. It does kind of make me wish I had been reading Ta-Nehisi Coates' Black Panther run all from the first issue, because the idea itself is just fascinating to me, and it's something that has been brought up in so many other things. You've got a little bit, some hints of it in What If. You've got plus Heroes Reborn had mentions of it, so yeah, it's a big deal. Anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Star Wars Darth Vader number 16. Where we left off in the War of the Bounty Hunters. Vader had claimed Han Solo as his own, and was basically telling Luke Skywalker, who had just arrived in the Jakara system, that yeah, Luke can come face him, or Vader will cut Han in half. However, Luke is like, no, I can't. I'm not strong enough. But Luke explains, though, he does have a plan. He's not ready to face Vader, but he can still get him away from Han. And so it's going to be a dogfight. But there are additional ships that have got beef with Luke. Those ships, however, are promptly dispatched by Vader's TIE fighter. Luke is his prey, not theirs. But the issue is largely just because of the attack on his X-wing. Luke crashed on Jakara. Boku and Ochi have a disagreement about everything, with Boku thinking he was supposed to Vader was going to back his bid, but Ochi's like, no. But Sly Moore makes another attack on Vader, this time with a horde of droids. The Droid Crush. But yeah, Ochi gets involved fighting Sly Moore, as well as part of the Droid Crush. But the Droid Crush also shows up and makes repairs to Luke's X-wing, while also they're basically the best way to describe them. They're a group of droids. Maybe not so much a hive mind or collective. Collective would probably be better. Kind of like you guys take care of this. You guys take care of this. That basic idea. But they make the necessary repairs to Luke's X-wing, and he's able to get back get back off the ground with, of course, Vader on his tail. But Ochi and Sly Moore's fight continues, with Sly Moore stabbing Ochi in the shoulder. And well, turns out that the Hutts are Bogu mainly is going after the shuttle that has Han Solo aboard. Of course, they aren't the only ones. And Vader and Luke can both see this going on as they continue their dogfight. And that is where the issue ends. I'm kind of, as much as I was kind of enjoying those little like the prologue story, kind of that was we the last few issues of Darth Vader. Now that it's back, now that it's caught up with what's going on here, again, it's feeling more like a crossover. Because I think this is the third or fourth time we've actually seen that the whole thing with Vader saying, "Hey, hey Luke, face me or I'm going to kill Han Solo," and Luke's like, I can't. No, I can't." So yeah, but it's turning into it's feeling like a real crossover. So yeah, moving on to our next book, we've got War of the Bounty Hunters Boushh. So for those who may not be aware, way back in Return of the Jedi, Princess Leia infiltrates Jabba's palace as a bounty hunter. She's trying to collect the bounty hunter she's masquerading as is collecting the bounty on Chewbacca. I believe it was the action figure of her said it was Princess Leia in Boushh disguise. The novel Shadows of the Empire would later would give a pre-Disney explanation for how Leia got the armor. It was the novelization for Jedi didn't mention it. Nothing mentioned it. So, but of course, with Shadows no longer being canonical, while this does not give us an explanation, we at least find out who Boushh was. But what has been said about Boushh is that Boushh was a UB's bounty hunter. That's it. So we learn some about the UBs. But the issue opens with a couple of Snivians trying to buy a genuine silver cord speeder that had been stolen from a Black Sun boss. But Boushh and their clan of UB's hunters stop them. They also the group runs into David Lompop, returning the stolen speeder to a Black Sun, to Lord Gayuti of Black Sun, who apparently, last David had heard, wants Boush's head on a pike. But turns out it's that particular day would have been the 12th birthday of Boush's child. But we don't see the UBs are shown to be out afterwards celebrating a job well done and talking about their plan. We don't see their faces. They're all sitting there with their helmets off, but the panels are cut off right about here on all of them. But apparently they've all been exiled, and so Boushh brought them all together. It turns out when Ubis is exiled from Uba, or from Uba 4, all traces of their lives are erased from public record. Families willing to speak their names. They wear the armor as a mark of shame. It doesn't matter why they did what they did, only that they committed a crime and were convicted. But Margot, Lady Kira's advisor in Crimson Dawn, hires Boush's band to take out the Tage Corporation Executive Board. Basically, the most popular members of the House Tage. Most importantly, Domina Tage. explaining that they will all be aboard Domina's ship soon for the board meeting. So we get then the Inquisitor, or on the Inquisitor, Domina Tage is testing a weapon, the plasma blade. The prototype's still just not working right. It has a tendency to overheat, and yeah, it's just it's an attempt to make a non-Jedi lightsaber, and yeah, it's not working. But so we meet the members of the board. Ormond Tage, head of manufacturing. Ulrich Tage, head of PR and messaging. Adelaide and Felix Tage, heads of finance. Brace Tage Falcon, an Imperial officer. Layla Tage Falcon, head of talent acquisition. And Silas Tage, head of weapons development. But, yeah, the board meeting is, yeah. It's like it's like a lot of family functions. You know, no one likes each other, and yeah. But the ship comes under attack from the Boushh. Domina decides she's going to take care of it. Killing some of the killing one of the Boushh, but we found out that it was that. The information on the board meeting got to the Crimson Dawn courtesy of Silas Tage, which leads to him being taken down by Domina, but Domina opts to hire the Boushh band herself. They've proven quite proficient, after all. So, as Crimson Dawn offered 200,000 credits to kill the executive board of the Tage Corporation, well, in exchange for information on Crimson Dawn, Domina will pay 300,000 credits and help the crew return to Uba 4. After all, the Tage Corporation does have trade contacts with the Boushh. They are among the few outsiders that the Boushh deal with. But she explains that she is truly offering the Boushh something that no one else can offer. Work for her, and she'll find a way them to return home. And so, Boushh decides, yeah, Domina's got a deal, and asks what she knows about Crimson Dawn. And that is where the issue ends. So, does Domina believe that either A, Boushh and their crew are killed for betraying Crimson Dawn, and Leia managed to get hold of their armor, or they had no need of the armor, and maybe she gets through Domina Tage. Well, guess we'll find out. A fun issue. I have to. Okay, so as a concept, as a character, Domina Tage was introduced way back in the old Marvel Star Wars books. She, power hungry, bad villain, yeah. She was a major and recurring Imperial villain, but yeah, she's much more interesting, I have to say, than I would have thought. But anyway, that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.